I met her in the men's room of an Irish bar in Wilmington, Delaware. The doors of the bathroom were not clearly marked for gender, and I blundered in, and there she was, naked. No, I'm just kidding. She was fully dressed, but she was cute, and she had dark curly hair, and I just quickly apologized and beat a hasty retreat and went into the other bathroom. It turned out that she was sitting at a table right next to me and my friend Mike. She was with a friend of hers, and I said loudly so she could overhear, "Hey, Mike, you see that girl over there? I just caught her in the men's room." That was not the men's room, she protested with a laugh. But after some back and forth banter, we were sitting at the same table together, laughing and singing Irish songs. Her name was Mary Beth. She was a nurse at the VA hospital. She was part Irish and part Danish, and we had an instant connection. She invited us back to her place for coffee and ice cream, and of course we accepted. And after that, she gave me her phone number, and of course I called her the next day, and we went out on a date. And it was basically a lunch date, and that's where she gave me the bad news. She was about to go in for surgery. She was about to have bunions removed from both of her feet. So I called her after the surgery to see how she was doing, and she was doing really well. Well enough, in fact, that she was willing to go out with a date with me on the following weekend. But of course, she had casts on both of her feet and crutches. So she hobbled out to my car and literally fell into the car backwards. And our plan was to just drive around the country and talk and maybe find some random place for dinner. And before we knew it, we were in Lancaster, and we drove past this tourist trap called the Amish Farm. "Let's stop," she said. And I'm like, "Seriously?" pointing at her cast. And she's like, "Yeah, it looks like fun. Let's do it." So we did the tour, and she clumped across the wooden floors, clumped up the stairs, and clumped down the stairs, and clumped through the barn. And she laughed and smiled and didn't complain at all. Then we went to the Mount Hope estate, where we did a tour of the mansion, and she clumped across the parquet floors, and she became like the mascot of this tour. Everybody was calling her Clumper, and she started calling herself Clumper. And on the way home, I pretty much knew she was the one. I mean, how could you not love a woman who, 2 days after bilateral bunionectomy, was out clumping around tourist traps? So a couple months passed, and one night after a date, she whispered in my ear, "Jag älskar dig." "You're going to die?" I said. "No, silly, it means I love you in Danish." "Jag älskar dig too," I said. And so a couple of months later, I moved in with her, and soon we were engaged, and she bought me a wedding ring. And inside the wedding ring was engraved, "Jag älskar dig." And I loved having these secret Danish code words inside my ring. So we got married, we had kids, we moved to York, we went on lots of cool adventures. She was always up for doing something fun and maybe a little bit crazy. She was my clumper. So for the thematic record, found love of my life. Here's the lost part of the story. About 15 years ago, I went golfing with her brother. Now, I'm a terrible golfer, so I'll come up with any excuse I can to explain away my terribleness. On this particular day, it was my wedding ring. It was getting in the way of getting a good grip on the club, so I took it off and put it in my pocket. And somewhere along the way during that day, it fell out while I was fishing balls or tees out of my pocket. "Shouldn't we go look for it?" she said when I got home and told her the sad news. "Well, on an 18-hole golf course, I think it would be pointless," I said. "But I know it's going to come back to me. I know somebody will find it, and I know it will be returned to me." After about 2 months, I was less certain about that. My finger felt naked, so I bought another ring. Then, about 2 years later, I got the call. A ring had been found. Could it be mine? "Does it have an inscription inside?" I asked the golf course guy. "Yep," he said, "Jag älskar dig." I corrected his pronunciation and said, "It means I love you in Danish." "I love you too, man," he joked. Well, the ring that I lost was found and returned to me, but ironically, I don't actually wear that ring. The second ring that I bought is much more comfortable. It's better for golfing. But about a year ago, I took it off and I looked at it and I realized it didn't have my secret Danish code words inside. So I got it engraved. Jeg elsker dig. Yes, Jeg elsker dig, Klumper. It's as true today as the day you whispered it in my ear. Thank you.